Hello and welcome everybody. This is the long-awaited shortcut and hotkey video. I'm going to be going across 3 different Total Wars, Medieval 2, Empire and Shogun 2, and while a lot of the hotkeys will be the same, there are a few minor differences and kind of a few little tips and tricks that I've personally picked up through playing Total War. Now, there's a good chance that I will not cover all the hotkeys that some of you use, but this is kind of meant to be a basic hotkey video because a lot of people watching my Let's Plays and battles do ask me, how do I group my units, how do I set a certain formation, how do I merge certain units. So I'm just going to show you very briefly how you do that across those 3 Total War games, notably Medieval to Empire, because that's the change between the previous Total War engine to the new Warscape engine that's been used in every single Total War game since Empire Total War. Previous to that they were using a different engine, can't remember off the top of my head what it was called, but that's the same engine that's going to be used in Rome 2 as well, if largely overhauled. It is still the base engine, so controls and things like that are likely to be the same. So, starting off in Medieval 2 Kingdoms, I am using the stainless steel mod, however, that doesn't change any of these key bindings or hotkeys. One of the biggest things I get asked is how I merge my troops on the campaign map. Sometimes you don't want to wait to replenish your troops, so it's useful to be able to merge depleted units together. Now, to do this in Medieval 2 and all other previous Total War games, first of all, I find the easiest way is to just select all the units and hit a general merge key, rather than individually selecting, say, this unit and this one and telling them those two to merge together. I might as well do them all at the same time. So the easiest way to select all my units that I want on the campaign map is Control and then A. That selects every single unit in that army, including my general. Now, all I need to press now is M, and you'll instantly see the whole unit UI panel there has changed. We've had various troops merged together. My peasant crossbowmen are now at their full capacity of 121. We've got 1 unit left, which has 47. So all those kind of odds and ends that were left, most of the units had about 100 men, but they didn't have 120. They've all been drawn from all the other units to comprise as many complete units as possible. So all you have to do, as I said, I'll just show that again, is Control A to select all the units, and then you press M, and that merges all your troops on the campaign map. I can't really personally think of too many other hotkeys, if any at all, to show you on the campaign map. That is the biggest one I find. There's no way of grouping units or anything like that on the campaign map. The reason why that panel showed up then was because I pressed G to prove that, you know, pressing G doesn't do anything. It brings up the overviews and diplomacy panel, so it doesn't do anything to your units. So that's essentially the main use that you want to the main hotkey you want on the campaign map. I'm now going to show you a few hotkeys in battles. So here we are on a battle map in Medieval 2 Total War. And I'm just going to go through kind of the basics things I do. Don't worry about the enemy attacking me. But basically I get asked, how do I group units? Rather than just kind of manually having to select the units I want, how do I group them into cohesive groups? Well, there's 2 ways of doing this. Either you manually select by holding down Control and then keep left clicking all the units you want and then pressing G to form them into a group. You can do that, or you can select all units of one type in one go by using a variety of shortcuts. If you want all infantry, hold down Control and press I. That selects all your infantry, regardless if they're melee troops or missile troops. If you want all missile troops, Control M. Should bring up missile troops, but for some reason is proving that it doesn't want to. Another one should be Control C, which brings up Cavalry. So maybe that's an issue with the stainless steel mod there, or for whatever reason. If you hit Control M, it should select all missile troops, but for some reason it's not showing up. But yeah, Control C has brought up all my cavalry. Control I does all infantry. Now if you just want melee type infantry, Control H should bring up all of those, but again that's misbehaving for me and bring up all infantry again. That's Control I, Control H. That may be because these guys can use a melee mode.
If we remain true and wholehearted, victory will be ours.
But yeah, you've got Control C for cavalry, Control I for all infantry, Control M for missile, and technically Control H for just melee only troops.
The Lord above is kind. We have
Thank you,
captured the
advisor.
enemy's general.
That's awesome.
That
I
will teach
don't
the
want to win
army
this
not
battle,
to
just
run.
shush.
Now he can rest at our leisure.
So you can have other groups. So if I group by left clicking, holding down Control to select more than one unit, and press G, it creates group 2. You can then just press 1 and 2 on your keyboard to quickly switch between those groups. For formations, in Medieval 2 and previous titles, or rather pre-Empire titles, holding down Shift and then 1 to 9 sets out a variety of different formations that you can do. Notably, so the default formation is a set line which you can't move, as shown here. To show where your units are moving to, this is another great hotkey that people ask me all the time, is how do you see where your troops are moving? Hold down spacebar and it brings up this preview of where your troops are going to be. So if you want more than just the kind of more freedom than the set line, Shift 2 will give you a fully kind of customizable line. This is the formation I use the most. There's other ones which are useful for various formations, but mainly you're going to find Shift plus 2 or Shift and 2 is the most useful. For cavalry, sometimes this doesn't always work, Shift 2. Let me group them together first. You may find that Shift 2 doesn't work, so you try Shift 4 and then that should work as well. And that is essentially the major hotkeys. Another one to do actually is Waypoint Setting, and this is the same across all Total Wars. Hold down Shift, give a move order, and you'll see a little waypoint mark show up. Keep holding Shift down, and double right click to the next point. You can see another waypoint mark comes up. Keep holding Shift, keep holding Shift, keep holding Shift, and that way that unit will now pan around following those waypoints, as long as I don't give another move order. If I give another move order now without holding down Shift, that removes all the other waypoints and they just go to that one. But if I hold down Shift again and make a new move order and another one, that creates a waypoint. So those are essentially all the hotkeys. I'm now just going to go show you if there's any differences and tweaks in Empire, and the same in Shogun 2, although in Shogun 2 there is something else to bear in mind with formations. So very shortly, Empire Total War. So here we are in Empire Total War, and I'm just going to briefly show you the whole merging system on Empire Total War. There aren't really any other short keys to worry about on the campaign map, but it does vary a little bit. So again, Control A will select all your units. Here I'm replenishing them, but perhaps I want to speed up that process. Pressing M does nothing. In Empire Total War, with all of them selected with Control A, pressing then M just brings up the objectives panel. Holding down Control plus M though will merge your troops. Sometimes, for whatever reason, I find it sometimes glitches out and it will only do one troop at a time, so you need to constantly press Control A, Control M, Control A, Control M to merge through as many units as possible. Let's find another army that does it and just check. So Control A to select all your troops, and then Control M. And there we go, it didn't merge all my troops that time, it only merged some of them. So we have to do Control A, Control M, Control A, Control M, Control A, Control M, Control A, Control M, and then they're all done. So sometimes you have to do that a few times with Empire. That's the only thing different. It's Control M instead of just M. That's the change from Medieval 2 and previous titles. So now to a quick battle to show the hotkeys there. So we're on a battle now in Empire. So grouping units, Control A will select all your troops. Control I does nothing. Control H does nothing. Control M selects missile units. So because I've got no infantry, Control I does nothing and Control H does nothing over from Medieval 2. But Control M selects my missile troops, my East India Company troops. Control C selects both my general and my cavalry. And Control B selects my artillery. Control B also works in Medieval 2 Total War and previous titles for selecting your artillery units. So for sieges, that's particularly useful. Now, grouping units, pressing G works again. You don't have to hold down Control or anything like that, just G, and then again 1 to 9, or even actually 1 to 0 will group your units. Although technically 0 shows up as a 10 in Empire. Again, holding down spacebar once you're given a move order shows a preview of where they're moving to. Holding down shift and giving multiple move orders sets up waypoints, but in Empire those waypoints don't show up. Or actually they do, as little green arrows, but when I had all those guys selected then, they weren't showing up. No, so a big group together doesn't seem to show up. Individually though, you see the little waypoints given with the arrows here, but that whole group though should be able to give waypoints fine. And that's essentially that. Also in Empire onwards, by pressing the N button on your keyboard, it does a nice cinematic zoom, which you can use your scroll wheel of your mouse to zoom in even further. Great for cinematics. Insert gives you a shoulder view, if you press insert, of your troops. Rome 2's is much better, I can assure you on that. The cinematic mode is superb. But essentially that's the same. Now, I'm not going to show Napoleon Total War, but in Napoleon Total War, actually no, I need to do formations first before we talk about Napoleon. So formations. The standard formation in Empire is it sets a pretty loose and unlocked, but pressing Shift 2 no longer sets a formation. You have to use Alt and then numbers 1 to 9 to set formations. So Alt 2 is the standard one if you want to be able to kind of create a nice single line. For cavalry, ideally you want Alt 4. If you use Alt 2, it actually puts the formation slightly behind your cursor. So if you want it dead on where your cursor is going, Alt 4 works for cavalry. And those are the two main formations that I use and shortcuts. So Empire, it's Alt. In Medieval and previous, it was Control for setting your formations. Now, formations for Napoleon Total War, for whatever reason, maybe I don't actually have anyone else's to test this on, but for me, the formation shortcuts have never worked. I have to use the manual formation toggle button, which is on the main display, and it's right in the center, and you click it, and then it's the second one along for single line. But that's pretty straightforward and visual in Napoleon Total War, so you guys can see that. All the other key bindings are exactly the same. So finally, I'm going to show you Shogun 2. I won't be showing you the groupings, rather, not the grouping. I won't be showing you the merging system, because the merging system on the campaign map is exactly the same, but I will be showing you something that's useful for battles and formations. So we'll go straight to a Shogun 2 battle. So here we are on Shogun 2. Admittedly, it's Fall of the Samurai, but what I'm about to show you works across all games in the Shogun 2 group, as it were. Fall of the Samurai, Rise of the Samurai, and Shogun 2 itself. So, Control M will select all my missile troops. I've already got them grouped, but if I press G, that ungroups them. Press G again, it groups them. Now, what I'm about to show you in a moment will explain a slight difference in formations in Shogun 2. And that is, it still works off the Alt command, so it's not changed back to Medieval 2 system of control. That's with the Warscape engine. So Alt 2 does your single line formation. However, as you can see, that line is being drawn behind where I'm actually putting my cursor, which can be a bit annoying, and it's kind of restricted. Also, if we look at the grouping here, we've got a little padlock symbol next to Group 1, which means that the grouping those units in that group are locked to certain formations, which we've got over here. Obviously, in Shogun 2, Fall of the Samurai and all that, you have very easy access to these tabs over here, which Napoleon Total War brought in, of quick and easy formations to deploy. However, if you're like me, you probably prefer key bindings some of the time. What you need to do to be able to form up kind of easy, personally I find easy formations, is going down to the bottom left here, just next to the toggle group icon, to the padlock. Left click that, and it takes off the lock formation button. And what this says is that, or rather, when if I hover back over it, it means that they will try to maintain their respective positions whilst moving, which sometimes it's useful, sometimes it's not. But in this case, by having it unlocked, I can now draw an easy single line dead on where my cursor is, which I actually prefer to the Alt 2 version, which is a kind of a locked formation. But as you can see, they're breaking out of formation. But it really depends on your playstyle on how you want to use these formations. But personally, I find once you group your units, coming down and clicking that padlock icon to unlock the faction or unlock the formation is a lot easier. So that's all I wanted to show you guys. Now, I'm sure, as I said, I've missed plenty of hotkeys and little tips and tricks. So rather than be critical of me missing those out, help out other viewers by posting those in the comment section. That'll be great. If there's enough that come in, I'll do a second kind of user-submitted hotkey video. But for now, those are the basic ones that I can personally think of that I use the majority of the time. Again, holding down spacebar shows where your units are moving to. Pressing the N button, not the end button, the N for Nigel. Why do I think of Nigel? N for Nigel. If you press that button on your keyboard, that will do a nice cinematic zoom. We can see those guys using flaming arrows. And again, holding down shift as waypoints. In Shogun 2, group formations actually show their waypoint arrows properly, unlike Empire. So yeah, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please remember to comment, rate, subscribe, thumb up this video if you enjoyed it. And I am now officially away for 2 weeks. I'll be back on the 30th of August. There's a link to my schedule of videos that will be going up while I'm away in the description. Remember, you can get in for a chance to win a copy of Rome 2. The link to that competition is in the description as well as links to plenty of other Rome 2 information videos and much, much more. So, as always, I hope you enjoyed this video. See you all again soon. Ciao for now.